In a corrupt and perverse world, where lust leads humans to have relationships with celestial beings and daughters become pregnant by their own fathers, we will enter the life of Lot, a man whose decisions placed him at the center of extraordinary events. He is ready to witness judgment and divine wrath, which will result in the destruction of a civilization. Our story begins in the book of Genesis, where Lot is introduced with an air of mystery surrounding his name. Some scholars suggest that Lot could mean a covering veil, indicating the importance of how we present ourselves to the world. After his father's death, Lot joins Abraham on a journey that will take them to unknown lands in Canaan. This partnership reveals not only family ties, but also Lot's willingness to follow an uncertain path, guided by his family's spiritual leader, Abraham. The vast plains and mountains of Canaan would be the setting for the crucial choices that would shape Lot's destiny. The enigma surrounding Lot's name, suggesting a covering veil, makes us reflect on the importance of personal presentation and the deeper meaning that this metaphor can contain. Could it be that Lot, from the beginning, carried something hidden with him, something that would be revealed throughout his journey? Lot's journey symbolizes more than just geographic change. It represents the spiritual and moral journey of a man whose name, until now shrouded in mystery, may indicate a search for the truth behind the veil. Alongside Abraham, Lot faces challenges, realizations, and confrontations that will shape his unique story. As prosperity embraces Abraham and Lot, conflicts arise over pasture land. With thriving herds and scarce pastures, Abraham and Lot face inevitable conflicts. Abraham's remarkable maturity stands out as he allows his nephew to make the decisive choice. And Abram said to Lot, "Now let there be no strife between me and you, and between my herdsmen and your herdsmen, for we are brethren. Is not the whole earth before you? Come now, depart from me, and if you choose the left, I will go to the right, and if you choose right, I will go left." And Lot lifted up his eyes, and saw the whole plain of the Jordan, that it was well watered before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, and it was like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, when it is entered into Zoar. Then Lot chose for himself the whole plain of the Jordan, and Lot went east, and they separated from each other. Genesis 13 verse 8-11. This attitude not only demonstrates respect, but reveals the strength of Abraham's character, centered on obedience and trust in divine promises. Lot's choice leads him to the lush plains near Sodom, a city steeped in dark mysteries. Here we are faced with the contrast between Abraham's spiritual steadfastness and Lot's inclination toward material considerations. This decision, although understandable in human light, marks the beginning of a journey that will reveal the moral and spiritual complexities faced by Lot. The plains of Sodom offer Lot more than just fertile pasture. They present a scenario of apparent prosperity, but they also hide dark secrets. Lot, seduced by the opportunities that present themselves, heads to a city that will become the scene of extraordinary events and dark revelations. The corruption of Sodom and divine intervention places Lot and his family between darkness and mercy. Sodom reveals itself to be a city steeped in evil, a fact that deeply disturbs Lot. The story takes a dramatic turn with the arrival of the angels, setting the stage for God's mercy and fulfillment of the covenant with Abraham. The lush plains of Sodom hide dark secrets, revealing a city steeped in evil. Lot's decision to settle here becomes a burden, as the city's corruption torments his soul. The narrative takes us into the depths of this wickedness, painting a vivid picture of the darkness that surrounds Sodom. The turning point occurs with the arrival of angels, divine messengers sent to witness the city's evil. The presence of these celestial beings highlights God's concern for humanity and justice. It is here that we are brought into a confrontation between the forces of darkness and divine light. With the imminent threat of destruction looming over Sodom, Lot is rescued by angels, revealing divine mercy in action. This rescue not only highlights God's faithfulness to the covenant with Abraham, but also illustrates the contrast between Lot's choice and the saving intervention of the divine. Thus, we witness the corruption of Sodom, the disturbance of Lot, and the divine intervention that rescues him. This moment in Lot's story highlights not only the challenges he faced, but also God's readiness to extend his mercy. After the city is reduced to ashes, Lot finds refuge in a cave with his daughters. Lot's daughters are two women mentioned in the book of Genesis. Only two daughters are explicitly mentioned in Genesis, both unnamed. However, the Hebrew Midrash, the book of Jasher, describes another daughter named Paltith, who was burned to death by the Sodomites for violating their law against charity to foreigners. Only two daughters are mentioned in Genesis 19, while Lot and his family are in Sodom. This episode reveals the consequences of his choices as he struggles to deal with the ramifications of exposing his family to a corrupt environment. The destruction of Sodom not only left the city in ruins, but also left deep scars in the lives of Lot and his daughters. Lot and his two daughters were the only people to survive the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. After this destruction, they began to reside in the city of Zoar. However, for some reason, Lot was afraid to continue living there, and, together with his daughters, he took up residence in a cave. Genesis 19 verse 30. The cave becomes a physical refuge, but also a stage for the moral struggles that will unfold. The episode in the cave, involving Lot's daughters, is a delicate and complex moment in the narrative. This leads us to seek a deeper understanding of the internal struggles faced by Lot, his daughters, and the implications of these decisions in light of biblical teachings. Before we get into the details of a controversial chapter, it is crucial to understand the biblical context. Lot's daughters, isolated in the cave, were worried about the absence of husbands. His concern with preserving the family's descendants is revealing and echoes the importance given to lineage in the culture of the time. The key passage detailing this event is in Genesis 19 verse 30 to 38. This excerpt highlights the post-destruction circumstances of Sodom and Gomorrah. Lot's daughters devise a plan that involves getting their father drunk and sleeping with him, with the aim of preserving their lineage. The firstborn then said to her younger sister, "Our father is already old, and there is no man in the country to have intercourse with us according to the custom of the whole earth. Come, let us give our father wine to drink and lie with him, and let us preserve descendants for our father." Genesis 19 verse 31 and 32. In an attitude motivated by a lack of understanding of the moral standards and ethics, the sinful plan of Lot's daughters was carried out, and both slept with their own father without him noticing because of drunkenness. At this point, Lot no longer had authority and respect within his own home. This is an extraordinary episode and, at the same time, challenging to understand in light of contemporary moral values. The analysis of Lot's internal struggles is crucial. He, although rightly rescued from imminent destruction, finds himself in a vulnerable state. The situation he finds himself in, isolated in the cave, exposes the fragility of his past choices and the difficult moral battle he faces when dealing with his daughter's decisions. The episode in the cave symbolizes not only a physical shelter, but also a state of emotional and spiritual seclusion. Lot, facing the consequences of his choices, finds himself between the need to protect his family and the difficulty of fully trusting the divine plan. How does this dynamic play out in the cave? Lot's daughter's plan was successful and they became pregnant by their own father. Lot's eldest daughter gave birth to Moab, who is the father of the Moabites, while the youngest daughter gave birth to Bamami, who is the ancestor of the Ammonites. This peculiar situation generated a series of emotional and psychological consequences for everyone involved. Lot, upon discovering what had happened, felt a mixture of guilt, remorse, and revolt. The daughters, on the other hand, experienced a mix of complex feelings. Although they believed they had acted for the family's survival, they also carried with them the weight of moral transgression and incest. This internal conflict generated an environment of tension and anguish in the cave. Life in the cave represented a period of turbulence and challenges for Lot and his daughters. Their journey is far from over, and the consequences of their choices will continue to shape the course of their lives and the future challenges they encounter. Both the Moabites and the Ammonites were implacable enemies of the Israelites. These two people were involved in the most terrible carnal seduction that brought great immorality into Israel. And Israel stayed at Shittim, and the people began to commit prostitution with the daughters of the Moabites. They invited the people to sacrifices to their gods, and the people ate and worshipped their gods. Numbers 25 verse 1 and 2. The Moabites settled east of the Jordan, while the Ammonites occupied the lands to the north, near the Jabbok River. Both played significant roles in regional history, involving themselves in disputes and alliances with nations such as Israel. The descendants of Moab, in particular, were highlighted in several passages of the Old Testament, including the episode involving the prophet Balaam. The Ammonites, in turn, faced intense conflicts with other peoples, especially the children of Israel. The rivalry between Ammonites and Israelites triggered wars and intrigues that shaped the destiny of both nations. Although the circumstances of their emergence are morally questionable, the post-biblical trajectory of the Moabites and Ammonites reveals how God can work through human choices and tragic situations to achieve his goals. This narrative offers a profound reflection on the complexity of human actions and the way in which divine providence operates even in the most challenging circumstances. The tragic story of Lot's daughters raises questions about destiny and divine choices. Although the circumstances surrounding the birth of the Moabites and Ammonites are controversial and morally questionable, it is undeniable that these people played crucial roles in the Old Testament narrative. In this context, it is observed that the trajectory of Lot's daughters was characterized by the absence of faith. They did not believe in God's ability to provide the appropriate means for them to be mothers. Thus, they acted selfishly, prioritizing their own considerations, without caring about the seriousness of the imminent sin. Lot's daughters exemplify those who only follow what they consider right in their own eyes, seeking pleasure and satisfaction at any cost. However, even in this dark narrative, it is possible to identify the brightness of divine grace. This is evident in the figure of Ruth, a descendant of Lot's daughters, who, due to her faith, was welcomed into Judah, becoming the ancestor of King David and, finally, of Jesus Christ. Check out Ruth 4 verse 18 to 22, Matthew 1 verse 5. Even with so much information, the simple question may arise in our minds: did God approve the sexual relationship between Lot and his daughters? The Bible often describes God allowing things that he does not prevent from happening, as he does not interfere with human freedom of choice. It is crucial to understand important aspects about the nature of God to avoid misinterpretations of his approval of certain practices. The fact that Lot's daughters had a relationship with their own father does not indicate that God agreed or approved such an act. The Bible often describes God allowing things that he does not prevent, since he respects human freedom of choice. By sleeping with their father, Lot's daughters revealed the harmful influence of Sodom, where they grew up amid drunkenness and immorality. This act highlights the numbness of reason and the insensitivity of conscience, symptoms of the morally depraved atmosphere of Sodom. Although Lot protected his daughters from Sodomites, he failed to instill in them strong moral principles. They are more worthy of compassion than blame, considering that Lot also participated in the sin by accepting and consuming the wine. The price Lot paid for living in Sodom was the loss of his entire family, resulting in the biased and idolatrous Moabites and Ammonites as his only descendants. This choice and sin had dire consequences, as evidenced by the subsequent conflict between these descendants and the people of Israel. Although God later established the law of incest during the days of Moses, Leviticus 18, the Lord did not endorse the actions of Lot's daughters. Divine permission does not imply approval, but respect for human freedom of choice, recognizing that these choices can have both positive and negative consequences. As we say goodbye to the story of Lot, it is time to take away valuable lessons that can illuminate our own journeys. His choices, challenges, and divine interventions are not only part of his story, but also become a mirror for our own search for faith and righteousness today. Lot's experiences, although millennia ago, resonate powerfully with biblical teachings. Lot's story reflects the contemporary challenges faced by Christians. His struggle to maintain moral integrity amid corruption, his hesitancy to fully trust the divine plan, and even controversial choices in difficult times echo situations faced by many of us today. Divine intervention in Lot's life serves as a powerful reminder of God's readiness to extend his mercy even in the face of human choices. This intervention not only shaped Lot's destiny, but also reminds us of God's constant presence in our own journeys. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the complex and nuanced story of Lot in the Bible. If you found this video enlightening, don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button, subscribe for more Bible explorations, and check out the suggested videos on your screen for enlightenment.